Good morning and welcome to the Eric Jones Show. This is our 4th episode, and I just wanted to come in with a little bit of sad news this morning. There has been a death, and it was Hugh Heffner that died. He was really the one that opened up everything to the adult industry with his risque periodicals. So I'm gonna move the camera around a little bit here. So I just want to talk about it for just a second. Hugh Heffner, for those who don't know who Hugh Heffner was, he was the founder and creator of Playboy magazine. And the news article said that he passed away today at the age of 91. So why is this making the news? Well, he was probably one of the most famous people in America, maybe even the world. And I say it's a sad day because he opened up sexuality to the entire world. Okay, I'm getting poor connections and stuff, so I'm gonna try to see if I can't position this a little bit better here. He opened up sexuality to the entire world. Now, he didn't always do full nude spreads, and some of his stuff was kind of tasteful and in the interest of art. Okay, so this episode ties in with something that's going to come out later on down the road in a future episode. So I hope that you tune in and you guys watch this video and continue on into the future episodes. So Hugh Heffner started Playboy, and he ran into a lot of issues. There was another, for lack of a better term, pornographer that ran side by side with him, but his material was a little bit more risque than Hugh Heffner's. Okay, that was Larry Flynn, but Hugh Heffner introduced a lot of new models that got their start with Playboy. Maybe they did a little bit more porn, but they moved on to other things. So some of the stuff that he did, it wasn't all bad. It did enable people to progress their careers into television, movies, and other things. I'm not sure what the causes were. I'm assuming that it was natural causes. But a lot of men and women loved the work that Hugh Heffner did. He's appeared in movies and television shows, and he, from what I've understood throughout the years, has been a real charitable and loving person. Now, I don't know what the future's going to hold for Playboy, but I can guarantee you that it's going to continue on, and I'll tell you why. We face an epidemic, and we've been facing this epidemic for years. And it only gets worse and worse as time goes on. And I mentioned earlier that he opened up the forerunning, the door for sexuality. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing either. But it can cause serious issues in relationships because people have problems. Okay? So, with that being said, this is going to be a shorter episode today. Everybody, I want you to take a moment of your time and just take a moment of silence. Think about different ways, good and bad, that Hugh Heffner has affected your life. And what that means to you, okay? I shouldn't have started this video while tipping. But for me, it's actually caused a problem. One of the first magazines that I saw that was adult-oriented was Playboy. It was easily accessible. I knew people who had them. And it's caused some problems. One of the things that it's caused is an addiction. Not to drugs, not to alcohol, but in other areas. A while back, it came out that David Duchovny, the star of the X-Files, Red Shoe Diaries, and Californication, as well as many other films and TV shows, had a problem. He was a sex addict. And there's a lot of jokes that goes around, especially among men, and boys actually too, that if they were going to have a disease, have an addiction, they would want it to be sex. But let me tell you how serious it really is, okay? This is a disease that's probably far more addictive than drugs or alcohol. And I say that it's an addiction because it can cost you a lot. It can cost you your job. It can cost you your family. It can cost you your friends. And it can cost you a ton of money, as well as heartache. And it's a vicious cycle that continues on and on. It's a very difficult addiction to overcome, but there is help. There are many counselors who specialize in sex addiction. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the person that has this addiction is a bad person. In fact, they can actually be very caring and loving people, but they have a problem. I'm trying to adjust for the light. They can have a problem with it. And it's just a repetitive cycle that is very damaging to a person's life. Okay? A lot of times, these people, these addicts, will go their whole lives without getting help. Because they're either afraid of what people will say to them, what people will think about them, what people will say about them to other people, that they keep it secret and they keep it hidden. I'm here to tell you that that can actually cause more harm than good. It'll actually progress the addiction to worse things. But like I said, there is help. You can get help. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. A lot of people experience this, and it seems to be getting worse. And with the way that humans are programmed, it causes even more damaging harm to families, friends, work colleagues, work. And it's something that the addict themselves actually feel horrible about. But they can't break the cycle. And it starts off, simple and harmless enough. But then it progresses into something even worse. It may start off with a fantasy, or fantasizing about people. And then it'll progress usually into pornography and fantasizing about pornography. And this is a word that doesn't churn up good responses, but it's a natural thing. And it progresses into masturbation. From masturbation, it can go anywhere. Simple chat rooms to adult-oriented chats where they're having sex talks, them meeting up with the people, having sex with the people, and then trying to keep it all secret and hidden. It causes a lot of harm. A lot of harm. There are some who can control to a point, but just because they're able to control it to, let's say, fantasizing, porn, and masturbation, that doesn't mean that they're safe. It doesn't mean that they're not a sex addict, because they can be. Even if they never cheat and they live monogamous lives, it's still an addiction and it's still harmful. I've found out that the fantasizing, pornographic material, and masturbation are just the building blocks. But there's far deeper root. A cast of loneliness, a cast of despair, depression, anxiety. These are all roots that just strengthen the addiction. And it usually starts from a point in time where there was some kind of trauma that was done, or neglect or abuse in a person's childhood. It was reported that approximately 2/3 of children have viewed or are currently viewing pornographic material, and with the access that we are granted on the internet, it increases the dangers exponentially. And a lot of these pornographic sites, they realize that there are addicts out there, and they cater to them. They prey on them because they give free samples. I mean, thousands of free samples that are enough to get a lot of fantasies going for months, years even. And it can eventually cost tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars to the addict by subscribing to these websites and spending the money to be a part of that culture. There was an interview that I watched in regards to this. They were interviewing Dr. Patrick Carnes. He's a leading specialist in sex addiction. And he's also been an author and worked with many authors in regards to the healing process. One of the book that I'm currently reading in regards to this particular topic is called Healing the Wounds of Sex Addiction or Sexual Addiction. It's a definite recommended read if you or somebody you know might have a problem. And if you ask yourself, it's just like depression. If you ask yourself if you have a problem and you have any inkling of, I don't know, maybe, if you want to find out where you rank, if you might be a sex addict, there's actually a survey that you can take at sexhelp.com. I think it's .com, maybe org. That'll tell you where you rank as far as being a sex addict. I can tell you honestly, I wasn't going to release this information just yet, but in an effort to progress my healing, I'm openly admitting that yes, I am addicted to sex. It is an addiction that I am battling. It causes intimate issues, emotional issues. It causes anxiety, depression, feelings of loneliness, abandonment, a lot of regret, and it all fuels anger and makes people a very angry person. But it's not your fault. Not always your fault. We live in a society that promotes sex everywhere we turn. It's very hard for a person who has a problem to break the problem if it's constantly thrown in their face. You know, it used to be a time where, you know, like on Mary Tyler Moore, they slept in separate beds. It didn't mean they didn't love each other. It was just morally right. Especially on primetime television. But now, on primetime television, we have scenes that even though it doesn't expose anything per se, the innuendos are there. And it still causes for fantasy and lust. It's a cycle that's very hard to break. But if you need help, reach out to somebody for help. Don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. It's a problem, and it could be affecting you right now. It could be affecting your marriage. Be open about it. Reach out to a licensed therapist for help. That's all the time I have for today. Take what I say to heart. If you're in the Nashville area and you're looking for help, reach out to me and I'll try to guide you to get some great help. That's all for the Eric Jones Show for today. My name is Eric Jones, your host. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thanks.